Hey everybody, Captain Handsome back. Sorry about the 2 week hiatus. I was having some technical issues on week 2, and then last week I was in Detroit. Honestly, just didn't have time to get it done, so I didn't want to do a half-assed job. So here I am. I'm back here to talk about week 4 in the NFL. Obviously, I'm repping my Dolphins because we've had an exceptional start to the year. I'm a very happy man. I'm aware who we've played. I'm aware we played a beat-up Titans team. I'm aware we played a Jets team that really isn't very good. And I'm aware that we played a Raiders team that could be as bad as the Bills. So I'm tepidly optimistic. I'm happy that they're 3-0. I think that they have a chance at making a playoffs just because the AFC sucks. And, getting that second wildcard spot might be not so difficult. So I'm optimistic about that, but I'm also a realistic fan. So I guess we'll just get right into it. I'm going to give you a pick for all the games, then I'm going to let you know what I'm betting on, and then we'll do the Survivor picks as well. Obviously, last week we crapped our pants on the Survivor picks, as most people did. I followed all my rules. I didn't take a home team. I took a home team. I didn't take a road team. I didn't pick a divisional game. I'm happy. I would do it again in the same spot. We should. There were clues all over the place. They just finished a 5-quarter game against a divisional, crazy divisional rival. They had a short week before playing maybe the best team in the NFL. We should have known they'd come flat. Even knowing it was, even if you don't believe in trap games, that was definitely a trap game. And even knowing that, I would still take the Vikings. I would still believe that their backups could have beaten the Bills, but I was wrong. So this week we're going to start. We've got Green Bay is hosting the Bills this week. Green Bay is currently a 9.5 point favorite. I believe it opened at 10.5, which obviously means the smart people who are smarter than me are on the Bills. That said, I'm still on the Packers. I don't think we learned as much. I don't think the lessons that people think we learned last week from the Bills are what we actually learned. I don't think the Bills' D is as bad as it has looked, but it's still not great. That Minnesota offensive line is terrible. I know that they held up okay on Thursday, but when it really mattered, they didn't. There were a couple of Aaron Donald had 2 massive sacks that really, really mattered. Ndamukong Suh had a big one, and they got pressure on Cousins whenever they needed to. So, that offensive line is bad. It doesn't have the anchors that the Green Bay offensive line does have. On top of that, I also think the Green Bay front seven is very, very good. It's not suffering from the same distractions that the Minnesota front seven was at the time. And not that I think that they're a better front seven, but I think maybe they're a little more focused. They'll be a little more focused on this game. They'll have seen what happens when you don't focus on the game, and I think they'll make things a little more uncomfortable for Josh Allen than than what he went through last week. So I'm going to buck all of the smarter people who are smarter than me, and I'm taking Green Bay. It's not a game I'm betting on. We'll do the games we're making plays on at the end, but it's not anything I would bet on. And then we've got the next game is Atlanta, and Atlanta is currently 3.5, hosting Cincinnati. I hate the 3.5. I was really hoping it was going to move to 3. I do like Cincinnati. I just don't love them in this spot. I think Atlanta is going to be. They really, really need it after last week. I'm definitely not betting it because I think one of two things happens. Either Cincinnati wins this game outright by 2 scores, or Atlanta wins this game by 3+ scores. I think one of two things happens. I don't think it's a close game. I think somebody blows somebody out. And if Atlanta can get their stuff together, I think they'll win this one handily. I just not willing to bet on it because the truth is, I think it's almost as likely that Cincinnati wins this game outright by 10 to 14 points. So I'm taking Atlanta. I'm just not willing to bet it. Moving along, we're going to move to Detroit and Dallas. Dallas is a 3-point favorite. I hate this Dallas offense. I heard what Jerry Jones said about the Dallas offense, and that did not sway me at all. I do not believe the Dallas offense has anything in common with this Los Angeles Rams offense, aside from the fact that, yes, you now have Tavon Austin, who the Los Angeles Rams decided they didn't want or need. So, for me, I'm not buying it. I'm not buying what Jerry's saying. It just doesn't make any sense to me. I'm on the Lions here. I think their offense is very good. I think their defense is okay. I don't think they're as bad as they were the first 2 weeks. I still don't think they're a good team. I'm not willing to lay points with Dallas because I just think Dallas is bad. Their defense has looked better, and that's good. I really just think if Kerryon Johnson's going, then the Lions have way too many weapons. They've got 3 exceptional receivers who are all going. They've got a quarterback I think incredibly high of. And with Dallas, I don't buy into their quarterback, so I'm going to take the quarterback I think is better. Next, we've got one of the most popular Survivor picks of the week, the Jets. No one's taking the Jets. The Jets are visiting the Jacksonville Jaguars. Jags are currently 7.5-point favorites. I definitely think Jacksonville's going to win, but I really struggle with giving more than a touchdown simply because Blake Bortles has not been spectacular. He looked really bad last week. I didn't think he looked like he was anything special against the Patriots. And even more than that, with Leonard Fournette back, it almost seems to stall their offense. And a bunch of people who are much smarter than me have been reporting on this, that Fournette in the lineup actually affects that offense negatively. It affects Bortles drastically, and it affects the way they move, and it affects their pacing and things like that. Fournette is incredibly skilled, and no one's going to pretend that he's not, but it's actually, affecting things in a not so nice kind of way. So, Maybe we try to avoid that. Maybe that's not the move that we want to have. You know what I mean? I don't know. It's just I am definitely not playing it, but on my cards, I'm taking the Jets plus the 7.5. I think their defense is better than we gave them credit for. I think that if they can stop Fournette, I don't think that the Jags are going to go away from Fournette, and I think that is bad for their offense. Like I said, I think the Jags could win this game 9-0, or you know what I mean, or 9-3 and not cover. So I'm not in love with the game. It's not going to make my card it's probably the game I like the least. But I'm taking the Jets plus the points. Next game is the Chicago Bears, who are hosting the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Bears are 3-point favorites, and the Bears looked bad last week. Obviously, they, went into Arizona thinking it was going to be a cakewalk, went down 14-0. Obviously got themselves back into it. That Bradford fumble ended up, basically giving them the game. And, that's where they sit. They won a game they probably didn't deserve to win. But that's what, teams that are good do. I don't think the Bears are good yet, but I don't think they're bad. And they're a home team. This basically puts, -3 says that the Bears and the Bucs are equally talented. From a defensive standpoint, the Bears are clearly the better of the two teams. From an offensive standpoint, the Bucs are the better of the two teams. Normally in these cases, I take the quarterback I like better, and the honest truth is I do like Fitzpatrick better than I like Trubisky. But in this case, I'm going to take the head coach that I like better. I'm not a Dirk Cutter fan. I think Dirk Cutter made some really large mistakes, especially punting that ball when your offense can't do anything, or when your defense hasn't been able to stop anything, and your offense has generally been moving. So for me, I like Nagy a heck of a lot more than I like Cutter. It's a tight one for me. Again, it's certainly not going to make my card, but I'm willing to lay the 3 points with the Bears. And the next game we have is Cleveland, who is getting 3 points visiting the Oakland Raiders. I don't know how the Raiders are a favorite in any game ever. If you watched any of the Dolphins-Raiders game last week, they were awful. I love my Dolphins. I would love to say that I think the Dolphins executed and whatever, but the honest truth is the Dolphins really, really tried to give that game away. And the Raiders was like, nah, you take it. We don't need this one. They were bad. They were really, really bad. The Dolphins ran a boring offense for large chunks of this game. I know if you watch the highlights, you only saw the exciting plays. For a lot of it, it was really basic play calling. The stuff that drives me nuts about Adam Gase. And honestly, I don't know how they didn't catch on. I could call it the plays watching the game. It was awful. The Raiders are bad. They're bad defensively. They can't get to the quarterback. Gary and Conley looked really good. The best game I've ever seen Gary and Conley play was last week. But aside from that, I'm not impressed by their secondary. Their front seven, it isn't scaring anybody. Nobody can get to the quarterback. I mean, as John Gruden tells you, it's really hard to find a pass rusher. It's just really hard to find a guy who can get to the QB. I mean, where would they ever have found somebody like that? But yeah, I mean, they're bad. I can't possibly give any points and take the Raiders and feel comfortable with that. I'm trying to look right now. It's the Browns on the money line are plus 130, which it's not going to make my card. I might bet it because I like to have skin in some games that I would otherwise not have any interest in watching, and I might watch a little bit of that one just to see the Baker Mayfield show. This is the thing I've been saying from the beginning. I like Baker Mayfield. I don't think he's a superstar. I think he's the kind of guy who only lasts a little bit because once people figure him out, it's tough to, it's like RG3 or, to a way lesser degree, Johnny Manziel, is that once they figure him out, he's done. He basically came on last week and ran a spread offense. Did it really well, was great at it, but that's what he did. And eventually they figure that out, and it's not very complicated, and they get to him. I just don't think the Raiders are the team that can do that. I don't like their personnel. They can't get to the quarterback, so he's going to be able to do that stuff where he moves around a little bit, directs guys down the field, says, you go there, like you do in college, or like Aaron Rodgers, can do every day in the NFL because he's incredible. But I think he's going to have a chance to do that. I think they're going to win that game. So you're giving me 3 points. I'm going to take it. And I think the money line at plus 130 has some value too. Again, it's not an official play. It's not something I'm going to play officially. It's probably something I'll play unofficially. But I think there's a ton of value there. So next we're going to move on to Seattle Seahawks, who are giving 3 points at Arizona. Now, I know Arizona's been bad. But if home field advantage is worth 3 points, that means that if we were in Seattle, they'd be giving 9 points. You've watched the Seattle Seahawks this year. Are you willing to give 9 points anywhere? Of course you're not. So why are we giving 3 points here? This game should be a pick'em. It should be, the Seahawks are probably 3 points better than Arizona. I know Arizona's terrible, but the Seahawks aren't that great either. Their offensive line is awful. Their defense is not great. I know the Arizona's starting a new quarterback this year, but it's not like he's going up against a Legion of Boom. He's going up against a bunch of also-rans. And I get it. I know Bobby Wagner's there, and I know Earl Thomas had an incredible game trying to impress the people he hopes are his new bosses. But those are the guys. Those are the 2 guys on that defense that really, really impressed me. And beyond that, I think there's a ton of holes and a ton of room, and they've shown that. They've shown they're not that great. And from an offensive standpoint, you've got, I know Baldwin's coming back, but he's coming back injured. He's not going to be 100%. And they've still got this guy, Patrick Peterson, who's going to be able to shut him down. I still think that leaves, some space for Tyler Lockett, and I think that, they'll be able to do some stuff, but I think this is the game that David Johnson breaks out. I'm not expecting, anything crazy like 170 yards or whatever, but I think 140 all-purpose yards is very realistic with a TD, maybe 2. I think there's a chance Arizona wins this game. And I think Seattle's probably looking ahead to having to play the Rams. So yeah, I'm on Arizona here. I'm taking the 3 points, and I'm running with it. The next one is the 49ers are visiting the Chargers in Los Angeles. I didn't call them San Diego for the first time this year. The 49ers, obviously, the Garoppolo news is just awful. As everybody has told you and me and everyone else a million times, the 49ers have zero interest in Colin Kaepernick, which is just silly. If you wanted to do something this year, why in the world wouldn't you go out and get a guy who's already proven he can do it for your team? I understand you had a bad breakup, but come on. Do you care about football or do you care about politics? I don't get it. Everybody who says shut up and play football should be saying shut up and win games. And if Kaepernick can win you more games than CJ Beathard, which he can absolutely do, sign the guy. Put him in the game. Give him a 1-year contract. That's all he needs. That's all you need him for. 1-year contract. How can that blow up in your face? It can't. Don't be silly. Sign him. Get him in there. For that reason, I'm taking... For that reason, I think that the Chargers are a very, very good pick this week as far as a survivor pool. I am taking the 10 points just because I can't give 10 points at the way the Chargers defense is played. I do get it, CJ Beathard. I still think they have a couple of weapons I really like. I definitely think with Beathard, they're going to be leaning on Breda and Kittle more than ever. I mean, the fact that they don't have a quarterback who can throw the way that Garoppolo throws, yeah, I mean, of course you're going to, lean to your check down guys. But I think Breda's very talented. I love George Kittle. I've been telling you that all year. So yeah, I think that they're going to be able to have these dink and dunk runs against a defense that isn't playing the way it should be playing right now. Joey Bosa's still out, so Ingram's been having a much tougher time getting to the quarterback. So yeah, I think that they keep it within 10. I think 10 is a huge number. I definitely don't think they can win, but I mean, if you tell me they win, I mean, if they lose by 9 points, they still cover. So yeah, I mean, if they lose the game 30 to 21, they still cover. So yeah, I'm taking the points here. I know that they're going to be a worse team without Jimmy, but they also still have a great coach who's a great play caller, who's going to create some really... Okay, now we're on to the Sunday nighter. We've got the Ravens visiting the Steelers. Steelers are a 3-point favorite. For me, honestly, the Steelers are kind of a mess right now. Every week it's something different. Antonio Brown apparently is fighting with everybody in the media. Obviously, Lev Bell's still not there. Connor's filling in admirably, I think. But honestly, I really believe they should have lost last week. I think they should be coming into this game winless instead of being 1-1-1. And for the Ravens... They looked good last week. They didn't look as good against the Bengals, who I think are a better team than we give them credit for. And in week 1, obviously, they won. So, I mean, yeah, I don't know how you go with anybody other than the Ravens here. You're getting points. 3 points basically says that they're equal teams on even ground. And the truth is, right now, they're probably not. At the end of the day, do I think the Steelers have more talent than them? Of course they do. But they're missing their most talented player in Lev Bell. Their second most talented player seems to be upset with everybody all the time right now. So, I mean, it is home Roethlisberger and it is road Flacco, so I'm really struggling with that. But I just think that there's more issues with the Steelers than with the Ravens right now. And so for that reason, I'm taking the Ravens. Again, no money on this for sure. But I do think that the Ravens are the play. The last game of the week, the Monday Nighter, the Chiefs are visiting the Broncos. The Chiefs are 4.5-point favorites. Based on the 3 points for home field, that would say that if this was in Kansas City, the Chiefs would be 10.5-point favorites, which I struggle with, but I still can't not take them. I've been that guy who's bet against the Chiefs a million times, and usually right when I start saying, all right, they're good, let's go with them, that's when they start losing. But I can't not. I mean, the Denver offense is still a mess. It's still not great. It's better. Keenum's better than what they had, but, I mean, you watching this might be better than what they had. They didn't have anything. They had Trevor Siemian and Paxton Lynch, which was nothing. Case Keenum is considerably better than either of those guys. He's still not a great quarterback. Their offensive line still seems to be struggling. They've done some things. They've tried to improve it. It's certainly better than it was 2 years ago, but it's still not great. It's still, below average. Defensively, their front seven is disgusting. It's very impressive. I love watching it. It's good. Can it do anything against an offense with this many weapons and this many trick plays and this many, opportunities? I guess we'll wait and see. I'm really excited to watch it. This is one of the ones I'm really excited about this week. Obviously along with Thursday night, which was an exceptional game. But I'm very excited to watch this one too. I think it's going to be great. I want to see an elite offense versus an elite defense. I want to see if anybody can stop this Kansas City offense. They were exceptional last year, and I failed to realize that Alex Smith wasn't part of what was making them exceptional, that Alex Smith was a cog in the wheel of what was making them exceptional. When you get a quarterback with a better arm and a more live arm, they can be even better. So I was wrong about Mahomes. I was wrong about how good the Chiefs' offense could be. I knew it was going to be good. I just didn't think it could be this good. Unreal. So I'm taking the Chiefs. I'm willing to lay the points until they can't cover. I think you got to run with them. I can't remember. I think it's week 10. They're going to play the Rams, and I just can't wait to see what the total is for that game. I mean, can you have a 70-point total? No, but I'm being silly, but I mean, I'm very excited, and I'm sure you are too. So those are all the games I'm not playing. Those are the games that, if you're doing a pool, those are my recommendations. I have 4 plays this week. I really like the Texans +1. I know they're 0-3. I know that they have lost games that they probably should have won. I believe all 3 have been one-score games. They've been in all of them. Their numbers last week were certainly better than the Giants' numbers as far as yards per play and things like that. They just couldn't get it done. Yeah, I mean, I don't have a ton of reason to believe that. I just think if you look at overall, they should be a better team than Indianapolis. Indianapolis has probably looked better than they should have. Their numbers don't necessarily, their yards per play numbers don't necessarily equate with them being a better team than Houston, so I don't think that they are. Although I guess with this line, you assume Houston's still a better team. I just think if you're going to give me points with the team that I think is better, they've got a better defense considerably. Offensively, they've got more weapons. I mean, obviously, Andrew Luck is a better quarterback than Deshaun Watson. I don't care how good you think Deshaun Watson is. Andrew Luck is better. But they still don't have Luck doing anything crazy down the field. They still have him doing the smart plays. And so, yeah, I mean, give me the point. I looked at the money line, instead of give me the point. But on 100, it's only $5 difference. And for me, I'll take that tie point for $500. I think it's going to be a close game. And I think Houston's going to win a close, fairly low-scoring game. No, I don't think it's going to be, 13-12 or anything like that. But I think it could be 17-15 or something like that. So, I mean, if it's 17-15 and Indianapolis kicks a field goal to make it 18-17, that point's valuable. So I'll take it for the $5. For the $5 on 100. I'll take that extra point. The next one is my biggest play of the week, and it is the New England Patriots -6.5. Hosting my Miami Dolphins. I understand the Pats aren't as good as they were last year. I know they've looked bad. I was there on Sunday. I was at the game on Sunday, watching the Detroit Lions beat the Patriots. I just don't think you can argue that A, the Patriots get up for games that matter, B, they get up for games in their division, and C, they get up for games when they're at home. They're spotting less than a touchdown against a team that most of you thought was going to win 3 or 4 games this year. So I know the Dolphins are 3-0. They haven't played anybody. I mean, I think that they did a good job against the Titans in a really awkward game. But the Jets aren't good. The Raiders aren't good. If the Dolphins can keep this one close or win this game, I might start being one of those unrealistic fans that, starts thinking they can win the division. I mean, it'll be a huge lead. It'll be a 3-game lead. The best thing about this game for me is that if and when the Patriots win, the Dolphins are still in first place, and I get to enjoy that for at least another week, which is very nice for me. But I think the Pats are. I mean, I said last week, the Pats were my pick last week on the road -6.5. If the Pats win that game, this spread's got to be at least 8.5. But it's less than a touchdown. You're going to be less than a touchdown with a team with, I like Tannehill. I'm not a Tannehill hater, you know that. But a team with a better quarterback, a team with a better coach, a team that schemes much, much better. And I also just don't think Miami's running game has been that impressive. And unless they can get that going, I mean, the Pats' running defense has not been good, obviously. But the Dolphins' running game hasn't been great. So if they can get that going, I think they've got a shot in this. But they really have to get it going. So I'm taking the Pats -6.5. This is my only 2-unit play of the week, but I'm doing that for 2 units. I also really like the Eagles at the Titans. The Eagles are -3. I think they're getting things together. They've got their quarterback back, and I think that every week they're going to be a better and better and better team. I still think the Eagles are a very good team. Their defense is very good. The Titans still have boundless injuries. They don't have the superstar tight end. Rashard Matthews just asked for his release and was granted his release. It's putting a lot of pressure on John U. Smith and Corey Davis now to do something. Yeah, I think if you focus on Henry and Lewis this week, you make them try to make things happen. You make Mariota try to make things happen. I think they're in trouble. I think the Eagles are going to win this one handily. So I am taking the Eagles for 1 unit -3. And my last play of the week is the New Orleans Saints visiting the New York Giants. I want the Saints. I'm giving 3 points. I realize that I'm taking 3 favorites and 1 dog, and the dogs have been pretty good plays this year. You just got to find the value where it is. I only have to give up 3. The juice is a bit high. It's -115, but I'm still willing to do that to only have to give up 3. I know there's some 3.5s. I haven't seen a 2.5. If this goes to 2.5, jump on it in 1 second. I don't care if you're paying 120, jump on it. But the Giants are bad. I know they won last week. They're still a really bad football team. And the Saints are a contender. The Saints had an incredible comeback last week on the road. And they would have covered the spread at Atlanta last week, so you're going to tell me they can't cover the spread at New York against a bad football team with a bad quarterback? No. The Giants have one weapon. I love Odell Beckham Jr., but the problem is he's got a bad quarterback throwing him the ball with still a bad offensive line. So Barkley's really their only weapon. And, I got to tell you, I watch him, and he impresses me. He makes the first guy miss almost every single time. The issue is that that's 3 yards into the backfield. So yeah, it's great that you made the first guy miss, but it's 3 yards into the backfield. Now you've made that guy miss, and the second guy gets you for a 2-yard gain. Now, if you've got a good offensive line, that first guy doesn't touch you till you're a yard, past the line of scrimmage. Then, even on a bad run, you're still getting 4 or 5 yards. Look at Todd Gurley on Thursday. Even on runs where you thought, this isn't going anywhere, he still got 4 yards because his offensive line was able to move things enough so that he could do that. In New York, you don't get that. He gets stopped for a 1-yard loss. He gets a 1-yard gain, 2-yard gain all the time because that offensive line is terrible and doesn't open up anything for him. As far as the Saints, maybe they got it together last week. They were really impressive. That was a great game. I do expect a bit of a letdown, but I just think they're so much better than the Giants that only giving up 3 points, easy peasy. Last, we'll go into survivor plays. Our play this week is the Green Bay Packers. I know a lot of people aren't going to be on them. I looked at it. It's 17.5% of people are picking the Green Bay Packers right now in the pool that I'm in. Which only has, in my big pool, is only 121 out of 13,000 people are left, which is, that's insane that many people were on the Vikings last week. I think they lost 4,200 people on the Vikings last week, which is insane. Like, that's just, it's ridiculous that many people are taking that. So my pick is the Packers. I don't think a lot of people are going to be huge on them, so it gives you some value. I think most people are on the Jags and the Chargers, which I also think are fine picks. They're not divisional. They're home teams. They're going to win. But my pick is the Packers because I think you'll have the least shared picks with other people. So there we are. That's week 4. Don't have a lot to say, guys. Please, if you have questions, comments, things like that, let me know.